Hello and welcome to pmclounge.com. Today we are discussing the Salience model, and just like the power interest grid, this model also helps you understand the profile of your stakeholders. Now, as always, if you're interested into reading articles, the first link in the description is going to take you to a related article on this topic over at our official website pmclounge.com. Second link will be a playlist of every single video that we have done on stakeholder management knowledge area. We have covered all the processes, everything that you need to know is there. And third link is all your questions that we have answered around the concepts of stakeholder management knowledge area. That being clear, that being said, let's get started. Okay, first of all, from PMP exam point of view, this is not a very important topic. You may or may not get one question around salience model in your exam. Now, like I was saying, this is one way of identifying as well as analyzing the requirements of your stakeholders. That's what Salience Model does, just like the power interest grid. But unlike the power interest grid, which has 4 parameters to categorize the stakeholders, Salience Model has only 3 parameters, right? Power interest grid, if you remember, it had high power, low power, high interest, and low interest. Those were the 4 categories. Salience model is going to have only 3 parameters. Okay, so quickly let's take a look at these 3 parameters of the salience model. Number one is power, and power is similar to the power interest grid. So stakeholders' ability to influence the outcome of a deliverable or the entire project, that is what power is all about. So someone at a higher position in the organization is definitely going to have a lot of power. So that's what power does. Next is legitimacy, and legitimacy is sort of similar to the interest part in the power interest grid. So the stakeholders' authority or the level of involvement in the project is what legitimacy is all about. Someone could be heavily involved in your project. It could be the only project that they are working on, let's say a developer, right? And they are going to have very high level of involvement in the project. Third parameter is urgency, and this one is different from the power interest grid because power interest grid does not talk about urgency at all. Urgency is basically the stakeholders' expectation of the response time. If they have a request for you, if they have certain requirements, what is the response time that they expect from the project? Basically, how immediate do you need to act to cater to the stakeholders' demands? So if it is extremely immediate, right? Let's say your CEO drops you a one-liner. Hello, Mr. Project Manager. Can you share your project status? How urgent do you think that is? Can you respond in the next 48 hours? Well, you should not be taking 48 hours to respond to that email, right? You will try to respond to that email in the next 48 minutes. So that's the level of urgency. This was something that was missing in the power interest grid. A quick reminder, 50 days is all it takes to clear your PMP exam. We have a study plan for you. This is absolutely free. You can head over to pmclounge.com/PMP study plan and get your plan from there. All right, now let's try and understand the graphical representation of the salience model. Actually, the power and interest grid was much simpler than the salience model because it was basically a grid. It had 4 quadrants: high power, low power, high interest, low interest. But when we talk about the salience model, since it has 3 parameters and there could be combinations of these 3 parameters, that is the reason why the salience model is represented in a Venn diagram. So you've got power, you've got legitimacy, and you've got urgency. These are the 3 parameters that we already talked about. But here you also see intersections, right? This is the intersection between power and urgency. This is the intersection between power and legitimacy. This, the green color, is the intersection between urgency and legitimacy. And finally, the indigo color is an intersection of all 3. power, urgency, as well as legitimacy. Now, in one of the previous slides in this video, we talked about how we received an email from the CEO asking for the status of our project. Now, although we thought this was something which was urgent, it would have fall here in the urgency area, but actually it would fall in the intersection of power and urgency, because in addition to urgency, the CEO possesses a lot of power. So I hope you now understand how helpful the salience model really is. So in fact, these colors actually represent different types of stakeholders. So the red color, someone with only power, is a dormant stakeholder. So you can look around in your stakeholder register and you can see, okay, which of these stakeholders are dormant stakeholders. They have a lot of power, but they are basically dormant. So then once you have that, a list of the dormant stakeholders, you can put them here in this area. Then you've got turquoise, which is only legitimacy. These are the stakeholders that are discretionary. Then you've got yellow, which is only urgency. These are the stakeholders that are demanding. Then you have got gray. Gray represents dominant. So gray is someone who has legitimacy as well as power. Then you've got blue. This is dangerous. The email that you received from the CEO was here and it was dangerous. Next is green, that is dependent. So someone who has a lot of urgency, a lot of legitimacy, but no power at all, is a stakeholder who's dependent on you. Your, let's say, team members, a tester maybe. Then you've got the color indigo. That's where the definitive stakeholders fall. They have power, they have urgency, they have legitimacy. Your project sponsor is the person that falls here. You as a project manager fall here, right? So this is how the salience model is used. Don't expect to have a clear understanding of these color coding to be able to clear your PMP exam. Like I said, this is not really a very important topic from the PMP point of view, but this is something good that you can actually follow on your real life projects. And talking about real life projects, here's the question for this video. Which one do you think is more usable on real life projects? What do you think you are going to use? Would you use the power influence grid, or are you going to use a salience model? And have you used any of these two before on any of your projects? Let me know in the comments. Looking forward to your answers. So that's all that we had in this video. I hope you were able to understand the salience model. Smash that like button if you got value out of this video. It helps us stay motivated and create more free content for you. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to stay notified whenever we upload new videos. Also, don't forget to check out the website pmclounge.com, your #1 free PMP resource. Thank you.